Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome, those that just joined us. Let me just introduce myself. Please forgive this bonnet that you see on my head. First of all, I just had to make my hair and I have to wear it. There's nothing I can do about it. Forgive it, please. So I'm Nimi Adebayo. Nimi is for Tioluwanimi. I'm the 3D and motion design lead for GDSC OUI. That's Oduduwa University, Ipetumodu. For those who might have joined outside of OUI. Right now, there's no lights in Nigeria. I don't know what's wrong, but hopefully they bring it soon. So, but you're not here to actually listen to me. You're here to listen to Mr. Nasir and Mr. Noah. Mr. Nasir is a motion designer and he owns an academy. He's still going to talk about himself. I just want to talk briefly, introduce them briefly. And Mr. Noah will be joining us soon. He's a 3D generalist. I know in tech space, we have mobile development, web development, cyber security. All of those fields are more popular than 3D and motion design. Even though we see 3D and motion design, like we come in contact with it on a daily basis. We see motion design in our advertisements, we see 3D in our animations, in the cartoons we watch, we even see 2D animations as well. We see it in the games we play, and you know it's something that is sort of that has become part of our daily life, but we don't pay much attention to it because every when people talk about tech, the only thing you hear is mobile development and software engineering. Now is artificial intelligence and machine learning. So this is why we are here. This is why Mr. Nasir is here. This is why Mr. Noah is here. This is why every one of us are here at the moment. Just to explore 3D and motion design. So I'm going to let the first speaker start. I don't know what went wrong. We're trying to get a Google Meet link that would allow us to use ample time, use enough time, but this one apparently isn't is giving us a short time. So this would have to be as short as possible. I beg your pardon. I wanted this to be as interactive without time constraining us, but yeah, we'll have to make do. Uh, right now, I'll be introducing Mr. Nasir Kareem. He's a brilliant motion designer. He's going to, tell us more about himself. Then we'll now do question and answer for with him. Then we go from there. Thank you very much, Mr. Nasir.
Hello everyone. Okay, I decided to put up my video because the host put up our video, so I think it's okay for me to put up my video. Thank you so much, Nimi. I really appreciate this, and I would like to say this is really good because you are using your platform to reach more people, to know more about what we do, or to know more about the industry we are in. And I really, really appreciate that. And everyone on this call or on this meeting, thank you for joining. And I really hope it's going to be, it's going to be worth it for you guys. So let me introduce myself. My name is Nasir Kareem. I'm a motion designer, and I've been doing this for like 7 years now. And I started off as a video editor, and as God will have it, I fell in love. Let me say, I stumbled on motion graphics and I fell in love with it. And ever since then, I've been doing it. And because of how, so let me say, I'm self-taught. I didn't really go to any school or anything like that for me to learn. And as a result of that, knowing fully well that more people are actually interested in learning motion design, so I came up with N Academy. So N Academy is the Motion Design Institute where we train individuals and even corporate teams motion design. And what we basically do is we have our teaching model is just in courses where we have all motion design disciplines, right? In terms of motion graphics, 2D animation, 3D animation, 2D animation, among other disciplines, right? And that's basically what we do. What else about me? I'm married. No kids yet. Um, I've worked with so many brands in and outside the country. You guys know how the country is right now, so I actually do prefer working outside the country, so I can earn the foreign currency and hedge against naira always depreciating. And that's one of the perks about in this industry. You get to work when you get to that point where you're really good. You get to work with everyone or anywhere around the world. Um, I think that's all I can say for now. If you have any specific question, I'll be happy to answer that. Yeah, that's all for now for myself.
Thank you very much, sir. Question is plenty. We have plenty questions because I know, like, even though I'm into 3D, I don't also know much about motion design, and I know it's the same with many people on this call. And so I prepared plenty questions for you, and I'm sure they too came with their questions, and we will be allowing time for that as well. So I think my first question would be, like I said, I'm into 3D. My first question would be, what is motion design? How is it even different from animation and graphic design? How is it? What's the difference?
All right, thank you so much for that. One of our popular course, Motion Design Kickstarter at the Academy. Actually, this is like the very first thing we deal with, because the very first segment is actually theoretical before we actually looking into After Effects. And basically, what we first of all touch on is what is actually motion design. What are those in motion design? How is it different from animation and things like that? So let me just give you the textbook definition first. So motion design is just um, manipulating, let me just break it down in my own head right now. It's just manipulating footages, text with sound, putting them all together to tell a story or to pass across any kind of information, right? But to still further break it down, right? Motion design is just graphic design in motion. Because even when you're putting all of these things together, you have to make use of graphic design principles, right? So that's basically what motion design is. And under motion design is more like the umbrella, right? There are types of motion design. So we have the motion design as the umbrella. Then now the types of motion design now have motion graphics, we have 2D animations, we have 3D animations, we have stop motion, we have, I think we also have one other one. We have VFX, right? VFX is also part of it. Um, I think the last one will be, yes, 2D traditional animation. So the first 2D animation that I mentioned was vector shape, vector based animation. Those ones where you have to just you know create characters out of basic shapes, right? But there are traditional animation which has to do with all those, the one that has to do with frame by frame, where you actually have to draw out. So a very good example would be Tom and Jerry is a traditional animation, right? That's a very good example. Now compare that to um, this cartoon called SpongeBob, right? That you can literally see how they form the shape out of the character. So those are like the differences. So these are like the major types of motion design, right? And under all of this, right, they're also still broken down into other aspects, right? Like that traditional animation also, that is where we now have animation. That's where we now have um, cartoons, right? Because but I want you to understand that motion design is the umbrella, while these other things are like the types of motion design, right? So anything you see moving on screen that has to do with pictures, images, videos, manipulated to process information or to tell a story or to evoke emotions is actually motion design. So to now go back to your second part of the question, how is it different from animation? How is it different from things? Motion design is the umbrella, like I said. Animation is under motion design, right? VFX, like if you watch Avengers movie, for instance, Avengers movie is full of VFX. All those car stumbling and cutting off, those are VFX, still under motion design, right? So even when somebody is looking for a motion designer to hire, they have to be very specific the kind of motion design they want to hire. Now, the good thing about this is if you are good in motion graphics, right, you already have an idea of how you can do VFX because the skills are kind of intertwined, right? I wouldn't want to dive in too deep about that. I want to believe I've been able to answer the question and then able to differentiate between a motion design and animation. But the major takeaway is motion design is the umbrella, while motion graphics, animation, 2D animation, 3D animation, all of them are underneath, basically.
Okay, okay, thank you very much. I don't know how I feel as a 3D designer and somebody that wants to be an animator in 3D. I don't know how I feel about it being under motion design. I used to think that it was on its own before. Apparently, I also have a lot to learn. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I would like to ask if you mentioned earlier that you started as a video editor.
Yeah.
So, like, is there, can you like explain to us how that transition from video editing happened, like from video editing into motion design? How did it exactly happen? Did
Okay,
you
that.
did you yeah.
Okay, let me go ahead and answer. Okay, that's actually a very interesting question. So what happened was when I started as a video editor, right? I was just editing videos. I even get to shoot videos. I think I edited I had an interview that I shot and I edited myself, right? And no, not an interview, it was like a documentary, right? And it came out good. That was like my first ever job that I did. But as time goes on, when I get getting more gigs in video editing, I got a client that wanted to do a video telling their customers Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, right? And I realized that this project brief video editing will not cut it, right? And then I decided to just open After Effects and watch one small tutorial so I can do what I needed to do. Prior before then, right? I've opened After Effects before, and I've told myself that I don't want After Effects. Like it was very scary because I didn't want to even work on it at all. Like let me just stick to my video editor. I want to be the best editor in the world that time, right? Because I was trying to run away from After Effects. But then when that job came in and I needed to do something really cool for the client, I just said, okay, I think this application is the best for this. And I watched one small tutorial. From that small tutorial, that's how I just developed interest in motion graphics. And ever since then, I've not uh, I've not turned back, basically. So what I would just like to say to encourage people is sometimes it's good to just try out new things, right? Start small. Don't because like everyone here that have learned something, the first time they will open the application, it's going to be very scary, it's going to be very overwhelming. But all you need to do is just start small. Start small. And I think that would be a word for somebody here tonight. Start small. Do one small thing, and then from there you will grow. So that's how the transition came for me. For other people, I'm pretty sure it's going to be different, right? That's how it started for me. And being a video editor is, I've actually have some ideas or I have some things to play, but then, motion graphics just take its own toll on me, and then I ride on from there.
Thank you very much for that, sir. Thank you so much. So you mentioned how, so in essence, it was improving on your skill as a video editor that brought you into, motion design. So
Yeah.
like, can you like just let us know what has been your most challenging uh project so far? The one project that you did and you had to stretch yourself.
All right, thank you for that. Funnily, it's not a client project based. It's not a client-based project, right? Of course, there are challenges when it comes to working with clients and all of that, and I actually face that just like everybody else, right? But one thing that I use to actually develop myself, which I want to believe everyone here should take that advice, is personal projects, right? Because one thing you realize quickly is if you are working in a company or with a firm, you are going to be boxed on what it is you are going to be doing, right? So for me, then I started off working for my church then, Avestas International Christian Center, and the types of things I was doing for my church was just streamlined to take video, put text on top of it, take video, manipulate it, take video, do this, or sometimes I tend to just do trailer to advertise the program. But then I realized that I have love for 2D and like flat 2D motion graphics, just taking text and shape, telling a story, right? Then I realized that I love 3D animations. I love 3D motion graphics. Let me put it that way, right? And then the church brief or project was not giving me the avenue for me to learn on that or for me to even work on that. So what I did was I started giving myself personal project, and that was how I was able to grow, leave, break the box of where the client puts me, right, or the job or the church puts me, break that box. I started doing those things and I get better. So I think where the challenge came for me was when I was learning 3D, and 3D was one of the toughest things for me to learn. Not that it would be, I don't think it would be, when I say it's the toughest thing for me to learn, that does not mean to apply to you, because our brain is wired differently. So I don't want anybody to be discouraged at all. I'm not here to discourage anyone, but I'm here to lift your spirit up. But it was actually very challenging at first for me to learn. I would say it took me a whole year, right, watching one course to the other before I could get confident that now I know 3D, right? Even as at now, I still feel like I don't know if I can call myself a senior 3D motion graphics person, right? Compared to the other guests. Yeah, I think the other guest, what's his name again? Samuel, right? I hope I'm right.
No, Mr. Noah.
Mr. Noah,
He's
yes.
here to join us.
Yeah, so I think Noah will be the best person to tell you more about. I think Noah is only leaning towards 3D animation. Mine is more of 3D motion graphics, right? Because if you check our works, he has a little more of character. Mine is more of a little bit of taking some stuff, modeling some other stuff, and telling a story and doing other stuff. So the challenge that I had was when I was trying to learn 3D, and I gave myself a personal project to do a 3D motion graphics for a brand that I was dealing with there at its grade. And it was quite challenging for me because I have a perfect mind of how I want things to be. So everything I was doing, I was literally watching tutorial and achieving what I wanted to achieve. Even though I was confused, even though there was some trial and error, there's some lucky things that I did that make it work, it was quite challenging for me, but it was also I'll say it was one of those milestones in my career, because that was when I started having confidence that I can actually do 3D, right? So that would be like the most challenging part of my motion design journey, basically. Trying to learn a new skill and then doing a personal project on it and then expanding my knowledge, expanding my reach in terms of motion graphics.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you so much.
No problem.
For those who are here and okay, someone has a question.
Yeah.
So the person asked, well, I'm trying to bring it up. Can 3D design work with software application, e.g., mobile app and websites and so on?
Well, can 3D, let me try and check. I think the person dropped in the chat. Can 3D design work with software application, e.g. mobile phone? So for me to be correct with what the person is asking, can 3D design work be done on mobile application? Is that what the person is asking?
I guess so. I guess so.
If the person can just, okay, the
Yes.
person said yes.
Yes.
Honestly, I think I've been seeing some crazy applications recently on mobile that they do full-time motion graphics. There was a guy that reached out to me recently that he just started my online class, motion design kickstart, right? Because we actually have the online version for that. And he has been doing motion graphics, and I've actually seen some of his works. And it's quite amazing what he can actually still achieve with the mobile. But that being said, there's still a whole lot of limitations when it comes to some of this application from the mobile. I know that I know CapCut is really making a lot of waves and it may really doing well in terms of the video editing space, right? But even with that, nothing, in my own opinion, right, and I stand to be corrected, nothing still beats having the proper application on your system, like Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve or Final Cut Pro. Like those are proper video editing softwares that can get the job done, right? Like now, if I want to edit a video and I know that this video is going to be played in a place that is very important and they want some really cool effect and things, I will not stress myself to go and do that on CapCut. But if I really want to just quickly upload something on social media, just to maybe I did a video and I have some couple of friends with me, I just want to show up on social media, I can do that on CapCut. But to really fully extend your editing capabilities and for you to get to that point whereby, yes, I am a video editor professionally, you have to actually use the industry standard software. And that goes for 3D applications too as well. That goes for motion design applications too as well. So if you really want to become a 3D artist, 3D motion graphics, 3D designer, I would say make sure you have the application, like Blender, for instance, right? Because even if you're applying for jobs, those jobs, they'll tell you the kind of software they are expecting, right? And even without them mentioning software, they don't expect you to be using your mobile phone to create a 3D design, right? So even though in the mobile space, things are really moving fast and better, they are not there yet. So I'll strongly suggest make sure you get the appropriate software on your system, on your laptop, on your PC, just grind through it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Speaking of software, how would a motion design, someone who is just starting or who doesn't even know anything about motion design but is willing to start on it, what software is best for someone like that?
All right. So when it comes to motion design, there are a lot of aspects to it. Like I said earlier, you can say that I mentioned the types of motion design. There are actually 6 of them: motion graphics, 2D animation, that's 2D vector, there's 2D traditional, there's 3D animation, there's stop motion, and there's one other one that I'm trying to remember now. I think there's motion graphics. There are 6 of them, right? Um, the kind of software you want to start with, it depends on what aspect of motion design you want to go into, right? But I would say if you are really going to move, like you are really going fully into motion design, I would strongly suggest start with your design skills first, right? That means start with graphic design, because what makes your motion design good is your design. I can know how to do all the animation in the world, add all the effects in the world, make things somersault, make things look good. But if you are using the wrong color combination, if you are using wrong font combination, you don't understand the basic principle of typography or balance or hierarchy of design, your video will be messy. No matter how great your effect is or your animation is. But if the design is bad, the entire video is bad. It's better for you to have a good design and then not so good animation. Your video will still be better, right? So if you want to start off, I'll say start off with design. That being said, if you're already doing video editing, you can start from there, right? If you're already doing video editing, you can start from there. If you're already, doing design, you're already on the right track. And if you just jump straight to Blender, that's still fine. That's still perfect, right? You can actually move on from there. That still works, right? But at the end of the day, always remember that graphic design principles are very important in motion design, right? So.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nasir. Mr. Noah, you're welcome. We're so glad to finally have you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
we
I
can.
think my network is breaking. Sorry about that. So talking about software, so that means if you're starting off with graphic design, that means Photoshop, Illustrator, and then you will now want to go into the motion design proper, then you look at After Effects. Now, if you are looking into going to 3D, I would suggest Blender or Cinema 4D, and among the rest of them. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, sir. I hope we are all still awake because Mr. Noah has joined us. So if you are sleeping or you are hungry, please shake your body small wherever you are, so that you can feel alive. So, Mr. Noah, welcome. Thank you for joining us. So sorry for
Hello, Mr.
the
Noah.
inconvenience.
Hello. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Nini. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are muted, Nimi.
So sorry. We can hear you. We can hear you. Welcome. Thank you very much. I would like you to, introduce yourself to us, and we'll go from there. Just a brief introduction.
Yeah. So my name is Noah Aliu. So I'm a 3D generalist. I studied in the University of Benin. I did finance by that, and I majored in graphic design. So for over 7 years or 8 years, I've been practicing 3D animation. But I'm focusing on all parts of the production, from modeling to rigging, animation, and post-production. So I have my
You are fading in and out.
Sorry, can you hear me properly?
Yes.
So I said I have my background in arts generally, so I've been doing arts for a long time, so even before going to the university. But actually, around 2009, I went to technique and I studied business administration. So, 2 years after finishing my UNV, I decided to go and do art because from onset, I've always wanted to be an artist. But the issue with that was I didn't know what to do with that. So, but I can say my good step is actually going to university to go and study art. So, and here I am as an artist and really generalist.
Interesting. Thank you very much. So we've been talking about 3D, and in terms of motion design, we've been speaking about motion design as well, and we'd just like you to, you are a 3D generalist. Most of your work that I've seen are mostly 3D characters. I've seen you make characters of the video. The recent one you did was this oh my god, Don Jazzy. Yes, Don Jazzy. You did Don Jazzy where you had the downfall buses behind and all that. You might have to show it to us because I know we are talking about motion design and 3D, and everybody is there. They're just seeing us talk. They want to see some of your works as well. So how do you manage to, this is my question, how do you manage to make your characters look like the actual person, like the actual muse?
Actually, I started trying to create characters that looks like the reference, that is the real human being. So that is what we call a realistic character. But later, let's say 2 years ago, so I leaned towards creating stylized characters. So stylized characters are characters that have features of the reference, that is of the main person, but not the striking resemblance, not the person actually. So you can create a person with simple shapes. All you need to do is just to look for main features that makes people that know the person still be able to recognize the person. So you can translate it to be a cartoon character, not an actual character. So it's not realistic, but somehow you have to still make the person appealing and still make the person recognizable. So the way I go about my character is just to look at the reference, get multiple angle of the character, look at how their teeth is when they talk, the most prominent noses of their face, so I can know okay, if this person is smiling, do they have dimple, or or if they are talking, do they have let me say gap teeth or whatever it is. So if they have beards, if they have bigger ears or eyes, but mostly with the character I make, I title them icons because the constant thing I make sure in those characters is that they all have big eyes, big bulky eyes, you get. But even at that, I still make sure that even if the main character, if the main thing doesn't have big eyes, I still look for a way to make my character look like that person that has small eyes with a big eye. You get, so it's a way of representing art in our own traditional arts interpretation because traditionally in Africa we don't do realistic art. So that's why when the Europeans came, they demonized our art because most of our art you see big head, big eyes, or just funny statues. But actually, to us, it's art. At times, we can say it's links us to our ancestors, but the basic thing is that it is art first before it is for religious purpose or whatever. So I tend to lean towards that and try to represent my art in that kind of manner. They look funny, they don't look realistic, but you can still tell that okay, this is the best this artist is trying to like create.
Thank you very much. So, what challenges did you face when you first started out? Because when I started, in fact, I'm still a starter. When I started this 3D design thing, I was confused. I had to close the application first for like some months. So, please share with us what the challenges you faced and how you were able to overcome them over time.
Yeah, so I think the main challenge I faced was actually agreeing to be a novice again. Because before doing 3D, I was actually one of the best students when it comes to drawing and painting in my department. So, but when I started 3D, I was like doing nonsense and it felt strange for me being at this level in anything. So I have to admit that. And with that, I made that challenge and I said, okay, before 6 months, I want to be able to do so. So 3D has a lot of fields. It has modeling, it has rigging, animation, and a whole lot of it. Rendering is part of it, lighting is part of it, post-production is part of it. So, but what I did was I decided to like face one aspect at a time. I started with character modeling, though it was a wrong approach. I'm supposed to start with let's say object like modeling chairs, bulbs, and but I started with creating a model. People I like. I remember I did a Tiwa Savage character as a 2015. So if I go back to that character, it looks so bad, but somehow I can see the progress, and I'm glad I made those steps. But yeah, how I tackled those challenges, I faced those aspects of the production one at a time. So from modeling to animation, I started animation before I started editing because in Maya you have a lot to work with something called mocap. So mocap is like a rig, but it's not like an automated rig. You don't have to do it yourself from scratch. So after having the rig, you can import motion capture animations. So when working with motion capture animation, it helped me to be able to like know what the process is with animation. Then later, I started with advanced skeleton rig. But one of the best decisions I made was actually um, doing my internship at one of the best animation studios in Nigeria. And that is an Orange VFX. I don't know if you know the studio, Orange VFX Studios.
Can you say that again, please?
Orange VFX Studios, VFX.
Yeah.
So they are situated around Surulere. So I did my internship there. So during my time at the studio, I learned a lot like, about the modeling that I thought I was improving on. Then I noticed I wasn't. Then I unlearned and relearned some things. Then I was lucky to have this mentor. Then he's still the CEO of the company, Mr. Richard Obo. I think that's his name, Richard Obo. Yeah. So he was the one encouraging me to keep trying my hands on different aspects of the production, from the modeling. When he noticed I was improving on that, then he asked me again, why not try your hand on animation? That was how I somehow became a generalist, and I fell in love with it.
Thank you very much. So you said you did an internship at Orange VFX. Is it something that someone who is just starting out can also apply to do, or do you have to be at a certain level before you can apply for something like that?
Yeah, actually, I had the luck of using my industrial placements and sleep, because when you're in the university, I know a lot of people have the same experience. As your 300 level, you go for internship. So it's more like an IT program. So I went with that slip and I was accepted without having to pay for anything. But normally at that place, you don't learn for free. You don't learn for free. But what I'll say is that even if you want to pay to learn, or you want to apply as an intern, which you won't have to pay, you have to be on a particular level. You have to know what you're doing, because no one will have the time to be explaining the interface to you and telling you this is how to move the camera, this is box, this is. So you have to get familiar to the interface at least, then to the terminologies of the software. So when they are telling you, okay, use polymodeling, you know what polymodeling is. Then you can now ask, how do I use polymodeling? Not what is polymodeling, what is this, what is that. You get it. So at least be at this level of where when they are telling you what to do, you understand what to do, not asking them to explain what to do. So that's it.
Thank you very much. I'll be accepting questions. Please, if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat or just signify by raising your hand. I think I would also like to ask before we round up, because unfortunately Google has put a time restriction on us, despite trying to have as much time as possible. So I would like to ask this final question. When we're talking about 3D and motion design, it's not that, I don't know how I'll put it. In a way, it's popular, but maybe I can say it's popular to those who are actually out there looking for it. But in the same space as mobile development and software engineering and all of that, and the artificial intelligence and data analytics, before you would see someone come up and say, "Oh, I want to be a 3D, I want to be in the 3D space. I want either as a game developer or as a game asset creator or a animator or an animator or a designer and all of that." It's not common. It's rare. Can you say that it is a profitable venture? It is a profitable skill to have in this time of today, in today's time?
Yeah, actually, first, I would like to say that the reason you wouldn't see a lot of people trying to go into it is that you wouldn't say it's art and you wouldn't say it's tech. It's in between, it's both. You get, so most people that wants to do animation, it's either they know how to do art or they love um, the idea of doing art. So, and you get to a stage when you are doing the animation or the modeling or the rigging, where you need the idea of the tech, because rigging is partly programming and it's tech. The rigging part of animation production is called technical art. You get, so but when it comes to being profitable or not, I can tell you that it is very, very profitable and it's not going anywhere anytime from now. Because first, I can't see there's any film that's the Hollywood produced without having VFX or 3D in it. No, none. The Avengers, to the basic ones, you need 3D, because if you need a character to jump from a 10-story building, you don't ask an actor or a stunt double to do that. That's way too dangerous. You have to create a 3D art for that, or a dub. At times you call it 3D dub. Yeah, so 3D is useful in almost every aspect of tech. So, concerning the payment and whatever it is, I can tell you that the entry payment or salary for a 3D artist is as on the same level or even higher than a programmer. Because if you should look at it online, most times if a programmer, a junior programmer is earning like $50,000 or so per year, a 3D artist or an animator would earn like 60 or 64 on an average. Because you have to get to a particular level. It's not like programming that okay, if you can do this, you can be useful. In animation, you have to get to this particular level. If you are not on that level, you can't be employed. That's the sad truth about it. So, and even the modeling, you can also model, but if you are not up to the standard, you won't get employment from almost anywhere. Even to the basic startup company, you won't get. So, if you are getting employment as an artist, even I can say the bar is higher on that side because you can easily judge. It's something you see. You understand? Unlike the programming that you can go to the senior programmer to fix up things that no one is doing who did this, who did that. But if you are talking about the animation, everyone is seeing it. So if someone is creating an animation production that is worth $10 million, it won't be because of you that people are now saying that animation is cheap. You understand? So it is risky for them to take a learner or someone who doesn't know what they are doing. So for that reason, if you are even a beginner or you are getting the employment as on an entry level, at least you'll be getting like $64,000 per year in USD. But in Nigeria, we know how this thing is now. We can't compare, but somehow
It's new. It's new to Nigerian space now. It's just very new.
not actually new because I did my internship around 2015. So after that, I worked in like three animation studios in Nigeria. We have students ones. I've worked with one in Ghana and in Accra. So animation is not that new in Africa. Just that animation is huge. It's not something that five people can do. Five people can do a 2 hours production, or let me say 1 hour, 15 minutes. Very difficult because first you need specialists, people who you need a technical director first of all. That whenever you guys run into issues, you can fix it. Because animation is very wicked. At times you won't know why you're not progressing. You can just finish working and you see the arm of the character flipping after you are done with everything. So that is scary for anyone. You get so you need a technical director, someone who understands, who can easily troubleshoot what how can I fix it. Then you need an art director, someone who has the experience in production, who have the taste and the standard, who will drop the standard because of time, because we are running out of time or people want it to be ready. Yeah, so someone who has the patience, so and people who have the skills to actually animate and so it's not
Alright.
something you can just manage. So you need the funds to be able to employ these people. That's why you don't hear
Alright.
too much about them.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Is there are there any questions? There in the chats box, I think that's what we call it. There's a link if you want for you to join the 3D and motion design community for Oduduwa University. That is where we'll be sharing any goodies that we have, any updates, and also help anyone who is interested in starting out in 3D and motion design. Please, Mr. Adeke, can you mute yourself? Or unless you have a question. Mr. Nasir, Mr. Noah, thank you so much for taking out time to be with us today. Thank you for sharing your experiences with us. Um, I hope that we can reach out to you if you drop your social media handles for us, maybe your LinkedIn or your Instagram, whichever you are open to contacts in. please drop it for us in the chat box. No question. Nobody has any question. Who should we pressure to show us one of their designs or one of their animations? Mr. Nasir, Mr. Noah, who should show us something so that you said both of you. Okay, one person should take the lead before Google Meet to chase us out. Please share one of your wonderful, wonderful animations with us.
I'm trying to
Okay,
see.
Mr. Nasir has dropped his details in the chat box. Wait for Mr. Noah, and yeah. People don't want to show us your work. Okay,
No,
you want us? Okay,
trying to
you're
share the
working
link.
on it. Oh, I mean, like show us.
Can I share?
Like maybe you can.
Can I present? Can I go ahead and present?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
All right, I'm just going to present something that I have from my LinkedIn page. It's the last project that I worked on. I think you must have seen it. I don't know if you're able to hear the sound, or that's where the challenge is now. I don't think I.
And we can hear the sound.
Oh. All right. Let me stop presenting so I can have Noah do his own. You're muted, Nimi.
How do I usually forget? I said thank you very much. I saw it on LinkedIn and I was like, I'm just playing.
I think Noah has to teach me this 3D character thing. No?
He has to teach all of us. At this point, we'll just enter his DM like this. Mr. Noah, please come and show us the way. Davido, see Mr. Davido looking so cute.
And I love the way he stylized them. Don't worry, Mr. Noah, I'll reach out to you soon. Maybe you can,
Maybe we can even bring two of you on board. Maybe you can come one day to OUI and come and teach. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe we can just organize something because one of the reasons I volunteered for this was because when I transferred to OUI, it was also at that time I discovered 3D and it was difficult getting people who are doing the same thing. And I would just like to address that. That is just what I want to use my this platform that GDSC has, favored me with, just to connect people with 3D and motion design and just let them know that there is more out there, not just you don't need to know how to code. Me, I cannot write one single line of code. I tried to learn Python. No more. Let's just leave it there. Thank you so much. This session was a beautiful one. We are really grateful that you took our time to join us, to share your experiences with us and answer our very plenty questions. I'm sorry, I really wished that the time was more than this, but I don't know. We have to leave it at that. Thank you everyone that joined. Thank you so much for joining.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone.
All right, Nini, thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, Marvelous. She raised her hand and then she left. Okay, maybe she wanted to say bye. Thank you, everyone, for joining my short tech talk.